This is a little preview of my course, Prototyping with Cursor, where you learn to build interactive prototypes with Cursor and AI-powered code editor. So for your first prototype, we'll be trying to make something like this, a working piano prototype. To start, you're going to do Command-I to open up the chat. If there's already text in here, go ahead and do Command-N so that you open up a new chat. Then I'm going to type create a new prototype for a digital piano inspired by, let's say, like old Mac OS style. You can also try to create a synthesizer. I've seen students create xylophones as well, so it's really up to you how you want to take this prompt. So I'm going to go ahead and click enter and see what happens. So you'll notice that right now it's referencing something called a project rule. And this is something that I wrote up for this repository so that every time you ask it to create a new project, it will create it in a specific way. We'll learn a little bit more about rules later. So notice how now it's trying to create a new prototype by creating a new folder in my directory. I'm going to go ahead and press run command. And here's where results may vary. I've done this prompt many times, and sometimes it creates something really cool, and other times it creates something that I'm like, oh, I don't love this that much. And so depending on what results you get, you may want to restore checkpoint and try a different prompt, or even try the same prompt again and see what happens. So it just generated a whole bunch of code. It's going. It's adding some CSS styles now. Okay, so it looks like it's maybe done-ish. I'm gonna go ahead and open up my localhost, and it's going to add the prototype to the homepage. And if it doesn't do this for you, you can also ask it to add the prototype to the homepage. It should based on the project rules I've created. So it says Mac Piano. I'm going to go ahead and click it. And here is my first draft of a Mac inspired piano. So let's see if it works. I'm going to go ahead and try playing with my keyboard. It looks like it is not making sound when I use the keyboard, but it does make sound when I press the buttons like this. So I'm currently asking it to fix this problem. So I said the piano keys play sound when I click the buttons, but they don't play sound when I use the keyboard. Hopefully it understands what I mean by keyboard. Right now there's like a lot of like keys and keyboard going on, and so we'll see if it understands what's going on. It's going to modify the code to fix it. It might take a second. So accept changes, and then I'm going to go ahead and test this to see if it's going to work. So when I use my computer keys, it's not working. I'm going to try refreshing and see if it works now. Okay, so I didn't want to subject you to that sound for too long, but the problem was that when I changed it, it worked when I pressed the keys, but it just like continuously plays the note. So I'm going to say it works now when I press the keys on my keyboard, but the note is sustained forever instead of sustained to the length that I press the key. A terrible sentence, but I think it'll be able to understand what I'm saying. Okay, so it claims that it sees the issue. So let's see if it's going to be able to fix it. It's loading, it's loading. I never know how long it's going to take. So hopefully you will see some results soon here. I'm going to go ahead and accept. Okay, so it tells me what it did. So I'm going to go ahead and refresh. Sometimes you need to refresh, sometimes you don't need to refresh. I recommend trying it first, and if it doesn't work, you try refreshing. Okay, so now it works. Now it's dependent on how long I'm holding down the key for. Okay, so now it's time to iterate. I think to start, I'm going to try to fix something that's bothering me, which is currently there's like this gap between all the white keys. So I'm going to try to get rid of it. I'm going to say, can you get rid of the spacing between the white keys? The keys should be right next to each other. I'm worried about doing this because I'm worried it's going to mess up the position of the black keys, but I guess we'll see after whatever happens to see if it does what I want it to do. Okay, so it looks like it did overlap them, but right now it looks like there's like a double border because they're side by side. So I'm going to say this works, but can you make the keys overlap by -1 pixel, because right now there's a double border. I kind of feel like when you type like stream of consciousness thoughts, it tends to work better because you're giving the chat more context about what you want to do. So now notice how the keys are now flush with each other. Next, I'm going to try adding more keys to the keyboard. I'm going to go ahead and say, can you add another octave to the keyboard? So I've started a new chat. Hopefully it will know what I mean when I say keyboard. So it's going to add another octave, and it's modifying the piano component to add another octave. So it might take a second, but now there is a whole nother octave on the keyboard. So now that I have this piano, I am going to try adding a visualization so that I can kind of see how the notes are playing. So I'm going to say in the piano prototype, I want to add another Mac window that shows a visualization of the notes being played based on the frequency of the notes. Maybe I'll say like a waveform visualization. Okay. So I don't think it's going to create a new prototype. So right now it's fetching those rules that I wrote earlier, but it looks like it's not actually going to create a new prototype. It's just reading them just in case. And so it is modifying my code. Here's the extra window. So let's see if it works. Oh, cool. So now when I play, you'll notice that the waveforms are adjusting here. I'm not actually sure how it's working, but it looks like the higher the notes get, the more chaotic the visualization is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and make these windows draggable now because I feel like it kind of fits the interface style. So I'm going to say make it so that I can drag the Mac windows around wherever I want to on the page. Also, right now there is like some sort of error going on this page. I don't actually see where it is. It's here. Hopefully it will fix it now. Otherwise, I'm going to ask it to fix the error for me. It is pretty cool though, this like little visualization. I'm not sure if this is exactly what I meant when I said, because I kind of want the height to be different. And so maybe I'll ask it to help me change the height. Okay, let's see if it will work. Cool. So now I can like drag these around, and when I play, the waveforms still work. Let's iterate a little bit on the waveforms specifically. So I'm going to say, instead of increasing the number of waves, can we change the height of the wave depending on the note that is being played? I kind of think it's interesting how it picked this like lime green color. I actually really like it. It feels very different from anything else you would see in the Mac OS, like the original Mac OS, but I feel like it's very fitting for this style specifically. So it is currently loading. Okay. So let's see how it works. Checking that these window drags still work. I definitely want them to show up somewhere else. Okay, cool. So now when it's higher, the wave is taller, which is cool. Now it's lower note, it is smaller or shorter. So now we're going to experiment with adding more settings to the page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask what options are there for how I can change the sound of the piano. Basically, I'm trying to figure out what's possible with this library that it's using. So it's saying that I can change the type of waveform and create like different sounds with the different waveforms. So I'm going to go ahead and say, can you create a new Mac window in the piano prototype that lets me choose between the different oscillator types. So I'm going to go ahead and go back here and see if it's going to work or not. I might need to refresh the page, and it also might take a second. So it's saying that's adding a state for the oscillator type, creating a new window with radio buttons for each type, and also updating the play note function to use the selected type. And then hopefully it will use the context that it has from this page to know that it should be also another like dragging window that I can have on the page. So let's see what happens. It's working. This is a very ugly window. I think it's still CSSing. Okay, cool. So now we have these different oscillator types. I still have my waveform and I have my piano. Let's go ahead and see how this works. So this is the original one. I can also do square. Oh, cool. It changes the waveform style here. Sawtooth. Oops, I didn't click it. Sawtooth. Ooh, that one's cool. And then triangle. So now I have this option here where I can change the different type of sound that's coming out through the piano. The last thing I'm going to try doing is I'm going to try having this prototype autoplay a famous tune. I'm going to start a new chat again. I'm going to say, can you add a new Windows or Mac window? I keep saying Mac window just in case. To my piano prototype that lets me choose songs to autoplay. Let's start with For Elise by Beethoven. I spelled Beethoven wrong. Beethoven, can you add a button that says play for Elise? Let's see if this works. I'm not sure if this is going to work and if I'm going to have to put the actual sheet music in for it to read. So we'll see. So it's editing the page.tsx file. Again, this might take a second. In the meantime, I think there's a lot I can do here. I can even like add another instrument, maybe like a xylophone or something. Add a synth. You can add like volume controls. There's some funny stuff going here with the Z index that I'm not going to fix right this instant. It looks like the play for Elise button has shown up now. It is still editing, so I'm not going to press it quite yet, just in case it's not done. Let's see if it works. Okay, so this didn't work. I'm going to try refreshing. There is an error, but I think that error will go away. Nope. Okay, let's see what's going on. I'm going to say there's an error, and I'm pasting the error directly in the chat. Okay, so it is trying to fix it right now. It's saying that there is an error. It understands what the issue is, so I think it will be able to fix it, hopefully. Okay, this overlap is really funny. Let's see. So play for Elise does not work, but the other buttons still work. So maybe it's still working. Let's see. Nope, not working still. When I press play for Elise, nothing happens. Do I have to tell you what the notes are, or can you search the web to find the notes to play? If you're ever stuck, you can always tell Cursor to search the web, and it might be able to find a more accurate and more recent answer to the question you're looking for. I haven't tried this one before where I ask it to search for specific notes for music, but since For Elise is pretty popular, I'm hoping that it will show up. I think this is right. So these are the first few notes of For Elise, so let's see if it works. Okay, let's see what happens when I say play For Elise. Okay, so when I press play, nothing happens except for this turns green. So I'm going to try to fix that. So I'm not going to make you watch this entire thing, but for the last few minutes, I've been trying to figure out what's going on. So I've been telling Cursor what I'm seeing, and I'm trying to get it to fix my problem where my play for Elise button is not working. It looks like it's still not working again, so I'm going to have to try something else. This time what I'm trying is I am telling it that it's still not working, and I'm asking it if it has other ideas for what might be wrong. I also asked if I should re-implement the autoplay feature so that we start from scratch, and maybe if we start from scratch, maybe it'll work this time. So let's see if this will work this time. Okay, so after a few times asking Cursor, I was finally able to get it to work. So a lot of times when you run into bugs like this, you have to keep asking in different ways or ask it to restart, but eventually it should work if you are diligent enough. So I'm gonna go ahead and press play for Elise. The stop button does not work right now, so I'm just gonna refresh. But yeah, that's some stuff you can do with the piano prototype. I'm excited to see what you can make. There's so many possibilities, and I'm excited to see how you explore it visually and from a feature perspective as well. If you're interested in building prototypes like this cool piano, you should check out my course, Prototyping with Cursor. The link is in my bio below.